Tonight on August 28th, Ukrainian fighters of the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense launched 2 drones for reconnaissance in the waters of the Sea of Azov. After some time, their operators detected a Russian cruise missile carrier, a Buyan-M small missile ship equipped with caliber missiles. To neutralize this dangerous target, Ukrainian intelligence carried out a lightning-fast special operation. Fighters of the main intelligence directorate Special Unit Phantoms damaged the ship's radar station with a drone strike, effectively blinding the enemy vessel. Immediately after that, special forces of the Department of Active Measures of Main Intelligence Directorate Special Unit attacked the ship's hull with a second strike. As a result of these precise strikes, the Russian missile ship, which was in a potential caliber launch zone in the Temryuk Bay near occupied Crimea, suffered heavy damage and was forced to leave its combat patrol area. In fact, the enemy pulled the damaged missile carrier out of the operational zone to save it from sinking or being finished off. Main Intelligence Directorate Special Unit released video footage of the special operation. The published clips show Ukrainian drones striking the Russian ship with pinpoint accuracy, at least 2 direct hits, the first on the radar station on the upper deck and the second on the ship's hull, after which an explosion occurred on board. These strikes rendered the ship combat ineffective and forced it to retreat urgently closer to the shore. The ship hit by Ukrainian forces belongs to the series of small, multi-purpose corvettes of the Buyan-M class, River Sea class, armed with guided missiles. Each such vessel can carry up to 8 caliber cruise missiles. According to open sources, as of June 2024, the Russian Navy had 11 Buyan-M ships in service, 12 built in total, with 1 still undergoing trials. The successful strike on a Russian missile carrier in the Sea of Azov became another blow to the enemy's naval capabilities. According to official data from the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, as of August 28, 2025, Russia has already lost 28 ships and 1 submarine since the start of the full-scale invasion. The destruction of yet another caliber carrier reduces the missile threat from the sea to Ukraine and demonstrates the effectiveness of Ukrainian intelligence and cutting-edge drone technologies. Now to the horrific news. During the night of August 28th, the terrorist state, the Russian Federation, used practically everything at its disposal, all types of weapons, to attack peaceful Ukrainian cities. As a result, at least 15 people were killed, among them young children, aged 2, 14, and 17, and more than 40 others were injured. According to media reports, dozens of Shahed kamikaze drones and dozens of cruise and ballistic missiles, including Kinzhal hypersonic systems, were launched from Russian territory. This combined strike was aimed primarily at civilian infrastructure. In Ukraine's capital Kyiv, an 8-story residential building in the Darnitsky district was destroyed. An entire section of the building was obliterated by the explosion. According to preliminary information from the Kyiv City Military Administration, damage was recorded at more than 20 locations across various districts of the capital. Dozens of Kyiv residents were wounded. The city administration reported 38 people injured with varying degrees of severity, including 6 children. Search and rescue operations continued throughout the morning as emergency workers cleared the rubble, checking for possible trapped victims. Simultaneous strikes on civilian infrastructure took place not only in Kyiv. In Vinnytsia region, missile impacts damaged energy infrastructure facilities. About 60,000 consumers in 29 settlements were left without electricity. Due to the shelling of civilian rolling stock, Vinnytsia suffered damage to intercity plus trains, which caused several passenger services to be delayed or temporarily rerouted. Experts also report other strikes on residential neighborhoods and social infrastructure facilities. Confirmed destruction includes apartment buildings, hospitals, and transport hubs both in border areas and in regions far from the front line, where the Russian army has for years failed to achieve the objectives set by Putin back in 2022. Brutality and the intent to intimidate the civilian population with constant aerial terror have become its main tools. In his Telegram post, President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelensky published the following message. Now in Kyiv, the rubble of an ordinary residential building is being cleared after a Russian strike. Another massive strike against our cities and communities. Murders again. Unfortunately, at least 8 people have been killed. Among them is 1 child. My condolences to all relatives and friends. People may still be under the rubble. Dozens of injured. These Russian missiles and strike drones today are a clear response to everyone in the world who has been calling for a ceasefire and real diplomacy for weeks and months. Russia is choosing ballistics over the negotiating table. It is choosing to continue the killings over ending the war, and this means that Russia is still not afraid of the consequences. Russia is still taking advantage of the fact that at least part of the world is turning a blind eye to the murdered children and looking for excuses for Putin. We are waiting for China's reaction to what is happening. China has repeatedly called for a non-expansion of the war and a ceasefire. This is not because of Russia. We are waiting for Hungary's reaction. The death of children should definitely cause more emotions than anything else. We are waiting for the reaction of everyone in the world who called for peace, but now is more often silent than taking principled positions. And it is definitely time for new tough sanctions against Russia for everything it does. All deadlines have already been broken. Dozens of opportunities for diplomacy have been ruined. Russia must feel its responsibility for every blow, for every day of this war. Eternal memory to all the victims of Russia. This attack is also a direct response to the assurances of US President Donald Trump and his allies, who claimed that Putin supposedly seeks peace and had already voiced such intentions during the failed US-Russia leaders' summit in Alaska. Just a few hours before the massive strike, Trump's special representative Steve Witkoff stated that Putin had allegedly made peace proposals and was eager to end the war. Trump himself advised journalists to ignore the remarks of Lavrov, who denied all these claims. But it is far harder to deny missiles, Kinzhal hypersonic weapons, and drones than the words of Russian diplomats, because unlike words, they kill people and destroy residential buildings. Words without real action become complicity in Putin's war and crimes. And this is precisely what the Kremlin seeks, to turn the American administration into accomplices, to force them onto the path of aiding Russia in its desire to subjugate former Soviet republics and restore the borders of the USSR as they stood in 1991. Thank you, friends, for watching this video to the end. Subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with the latest events. This material was prepared by Hustler. See you soon.